What's the easiest way to spot a narcissist cosplaying as a victim, or aka the covert narcissist? I wasn't going to come back to this video, but I just saw a video on the timeline that pissed me off. And I know it's going to piss off a lot of people that I use this video as an example, but listen to me good. If I have to choose between protecting young girls by arming them and the people in their lives with awareness and the egos of men, the comfort of the emotions of men, baby, that ego and those emotions are getting stomped on. Cry about it. Which is exactly what this person is doing in the video I'm about to show you. Now, what I will say is that I'm not calling him a narcissist. Don't know him from Jack, but the bullshit behavior that I'm about to show you definitely is narcissistic. And I want you to watch closely because, mind you, what we're talking about here is a person who weaponizes your empathy so that they can extract what they want from you. Your first reaction might be like, oh, this person is grieving. That man is not grieving in that video. In the original context of this conversation, my examples were all of Carrie weaponizing her friend's ability to empathize with her so that nobody would identify when she is the villain in the situation. Because, mind you, this person that I'm about to show you in this video, all he is experiencing is the consequences of his action. And now he's not really crying to us guys. He's crying to the audience that the powers that be are protecting from him. And we could have just left it at, oh, he was being unprofessional. But now that he is weaponizing the empathy of children he was found to be inappropriate with, he wants the children to comfort him. And he's crying to children. Babies, that's narcissistic. But I'm gonna shut up and show you
some of the messages that they've been sending me. During this time. Hey, Bessie. I really hope that you see this message. How are you? I hope that you're okay.
That's about all that I can watch of that. But a lot of people are like, oh, this is so cringe. You know why it's cringe to you? You're not the target audience. Children are. Because if you're really messed up about losing your job for being inappropriate with children, you know what you would do? Talk to adult friends, not the children that you got in trouble for being inappropriate with. Like at first I'm like, oh, it's just the boundary. But now I'm like, this might be actual prevention because he's still working on the empathy and emotions of these children. He's getting the group that's being protected from him to rally behind him. Save me, children. They're hurting me. They're coming in between us. He's creating a what? The whole world is against us and nobody understands our relationship like you and me because it's that special dynamic. What does that sound like to you? Hello? The victim narcissist likes to put themselves in the position of powerlessness even when they are in a position that is more powerful than whoever that they are engaging. It's that Priscilla film when a grown-ass Elvis tells this 16-year-old girl, you're the only person that understands me. I can only be weak with you. She's a child, Elvis. Where are your adult friends? Anytime you see somebody in a position of authority pretending to be smaller than they really are to garner the sympathy or empathy of their subordinate, especially a subordinate that they've created harm with, but even if there's not a power dynamic, literally anytime a person who has created harm switches to crying or being the victim instead of focusing on the harm that they created and repairing that and taking accountability and apologizing, like before the victim or the protected party can stop to think about what has happened and feel relieved, now they have to use the energy to feel bad and empathize with the person who created the negative situation. And to put it quite frankly, trigger warnings, sexual assault. When I was assaulted back in 2016, that's exactly what my abuser did. He did what he did, and then immediately after, he cried. He cried because he'd never done that to someone before, and he can't believe he lost control like that. Like, before I could process what had happened to me, the agency that had been taken, all of a sudden, I was in a really awkward and disarmed position because now this person is pretending to be smaller to be the victim. Lo and behold, I found out that I was probably like the third girl he had done that to just that summer. Just that summer. I was working in the mall. Had happened to 2 other girls who worked in the mall. Real repentance requires an apology. But anybody who kicks the bucket and cries, because note, in all of these scenarios, whether it's Carrie, this teacher, my abuser, There's never an apology for what they did. It's, oh my God, I just feel so bad. Let me off the hook. Do not mistake I feel so bad as an apology. No, they just feel bad because why are you giving me consequences if you never acted differently? And that's what it always comes back to for me. I look at them, I go, you only feel bad because I reacted to the bad thing that you did. But if I would have pretended that I wasn't harmed, if I would not have reacted, if I normalized it for you, you would not have acknowledged what you did in any way. And it would have been bad one way or the other. But because I am forcing you to face your actions by reacting appropriately to the inappropriate or bad or abusive thing that you did, now you're uncomfortable. You're not sorry, you're uncomfortable. Victim narcissists love to play uncomfortability, that's not a word, as if it's the same as an apology, and it's not. An apology is an apology, but sometimes they do use an apology to get back in. And so it's like, I won't let them trade apologies for access. I'll be like, okay, you apologize, I'm glad you got that out of your system. But more times than not, it's like, I don't really care about the apology, I don't want it. And then usually they start harassing me like Carrie did when she was chasing that girl. She cheated with that girl's husband and then chased her down to force her to take the apology. I just feel so bad, take the apology, because it wasn't about making Natasha feel better. It was about making Carrie feel better. I'm like, no, you don't. I don't want the apology to go away. But yeah, that's what it looks like. That's what the victim narcissists look like. There seems to be a lot of confusion about why an adult man should not be crying into the arms of a middle school aged girl. Adult women who seem to have children, no less. And really, no conversation can save you, because you got to do a lot of internalized misogyny, trauma was my fault work. I can't do that for you in a conversation, but I will say this. Well, actually, two things, one of which I don't actually condone and have criticized in the past, but I still know it to be commonly true, which is that the majority of what men do, they do because they want to seem attractive to women. Like, even if the behavior is not behavior that women are actually attracted to, it'll be behavior that they think or want to believe women are attracted to. And the whole reason men are always like, men won't like that, interjecting themselves into conversations with women, is because that's how they think about everything they do. Now, what about that man fake crying? Because again, there's nothing wrong with the man showing vulnerability, but what is that? What is that? What? Anyways, what about that behavior is attractive to women? But if you're a young girl that watches the Disney Channel, that might look like crying to you. And that might look like a sensitive, soft man that you want to be with when you grow up. So he's still appealing to a feminine audience, but the age is a little younger. And to the weirdo men who are clearly predators who keep saying, y'all are just projecting your traumas onto these young girls. What the hell am I supposed to do after getting assaulted a bunch of times, right? Like, that's what you said you wanted. Like, why didn't you know this guy was creepy beforehand? Why didn't you learn? Why didn't you see? So what do you want? Do you want people to prevent assault, or do you want people to get assaulted, talk about it later, slap them down and say, you should have known? Do you want us to prevent or not? Because here's the thing. If he's not doing anything weird, then he can get a job somewhere else, away from young girls. But if he is a weirdo and we can prevent him from being a weirdo and assaulting young girls, grooming young girls, why not? Let's do that. He goes and gets a bag somewhere else. The girls are placed with somebody who would never let children touch him intimately. Like, whoa, what's the problem? Other than you seeing yourself in the situation and being like, why would you prevent him from executing what I wish I could do? Or why would you prevent him from doing to young girls what happened to me? But because here's the truth about it. There are two types of survivors. Survivors who really dedicate their lives to having conversations, either publicly or personally, that help people to identify signs and how to stay safe so that you don't have to look for signs. Like, here's how you just prevent any BS in general, like by shutting any kind of weird stuff down. And the ones that go, it happened to me, why can't it happen to you? It happened to me, nobody protect me, why should I protect you? And a lot of y'all that are like, I don't see a problem with it, it's because people should have protected you when you were younger and they didn't. And you rationalize that by normalizing the behavior. And so you want it to continue because then it can feel normal. But the truth is, it's not normal. You should have been protected. We're going to protect those girls from predatory people and you until you figure out how to deal with your trauma in a better way.